called about?
Yes. Not good news.
No, all done for till February.
Well, Jill came up and got her Christmas trees
All your
yesterday.
papers turned in?
You know, the ones that Riley.
Yeah, yeah.
Jill says,
How many did she
Mother,
take?
2.
Oh,
Yeah, Jill tried to get her to give one away. No, she says, I'm going to take this one for my bedroom, and this one's going in your bedroom.
really? Well,
Jill
it's
said, you know,
Hey, how you doing?
come with you next time.
yeah.
But she can't have me pick.
I'm glad you enjoyed that.
I said I only bought her 8.
Oh, yes.
Isn't that amazing? What kind of luck is
Nobody
that?
has up from Saxville neither.
Money wise on that.
Please.
Oh,
Is that a new district?
Very good.
I don't know.
But somebody came on Sunday or Saturday. No,
Not that anybody I know. Joe was just saying.
and
Yesterday, nobody could.
means are buying trees.
Now, somebody could have taken them out over the internet, but they'd be out getting them signed, you'd think, but
oh, really?
so you'd hear about it.
Did they
That's happened before.
did they work it out?
I know. They're from Milwaukee, so.
Oh, oh, that jam.
I didn't mean to leave you in the store. Busy
slow.
visiting, so I. And Dick said.
I'm gonna do it
I
for
said,
them.
well, I'll be home shortly. And he says,
Some
yeah,
odd
right.
jobs here and there, but
because he knows that.
A few words if he wishes.
Are you gonna run?
what happens?
Changing your mind?
Only,
I miss some of it.
only in the case of
Yeah?
There, at least we got some blue light.
if I were a powerhouse
After
of the
hours,
college,
maybe it's not working.
instrumental in the direction this government took, I would probably think,
Disappointed, I would imagine.
look at the people.
I told you, Mr. Kirshner is not here.
The guy I would work on would be Merck.
That's why I'm working on it.
But he's too busy.
I don't think I can.
Yes, you go first and then Merck.
What lake is that on?
When you get that set, then we'll start.
What lake is that on? Peggy Holcomb.
I just signed what she said.
Now we're not gonna get our change. Asking for money? Can't figure it out.
No, zone change.
Room would be full.
To read it, see. It says it in there.
Yeah, someplace.
What's the address?
I like blue. Blue's pretty. Yeah. I know rabbit. I know rabbit.
What's the address?
I'm looking. Section 35.
Somewhere it's gotta be on there.
14 pages. Tell me what's on every page right away.
IRS dropped their village.
I don't think so.
No.
We love you, but you can't.
No, we decided personnel to whatever the IRS.
Nice outfit.
We don't allow
I
you.
mean, it's not exactly
Nice outfit.
that comes up tonight too.
What's Thursday? Zoning?
Relax. That's the way you should
Yeah,
become.
no lie.
Relaxed. Yeah.
There you go.
Honey, my heart rate's been up all day.
She just eating classes?
No.
What is she
Yeah.
doing? Yoga?
Spinning.
Spinning? Was that fun? Were you really good
It's
at
your first time? Oh,
Were you good at it? There you go. Oh, wow, you did
take
good
that home
then.
with you. Recipes to take home for the holidays.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Let's have another one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Another cookie one here.
Fast, yes. She said stand up.
That'd be neat.
Another cookie. This is all cookies. Are all sweet. That one's there is real food.
That'll be neat.
Good real food.
Well, see, now you have to. Did you?
Yeah.
See, I gave my
Good.
son away. I just.
a couple in this one here that's really good.
Asking to leave the room or
Michael,
what?
would you like to try out new recipes?
Yeah, potato one. This one I
Asking
did.
to leave the room, usually when you raise your hand.
Trying to get everything to work and they don't want to work.
Gosh.
My yard has got
You hear it now. Mushroom. This one.
this far out of the ground.
Good. Mushroom one and potato one.
Round Lake.
Mashed potatoes.
Oh, by John and Roxy.
Oh, it's your township. They're splitting it.
That's why I was
Splitting that lot into three.
Coming back on the 27th.
We told them they had to clean off all the old buildings. Clean it right off. No junk on it.
sounds good to me.
Every other lot has to meet all the setbacks. So no, there won't be any variance.
I'm walking. I hate
You need new batteries.
Three new septics.
Skokie,
Another road or driveway. I think there's one or two driveways onto the road.
but I hate
Looks like they'll all be all right.
No input.
switch on my
You know where this one is? It's
nice, easy to
Yeah,
get
there's-
into and out.
The last
big,
page,
long,
there's a map
sloping
on.
driveway going in there now, but they're gonna make two driveways.
I always
up
park
and
out in
Plug
the
it,
lot.
plug it back in again.
Yeah. I've never parked in
Four
there.
buildings on the lake that are coming off.
Started using
Everything has to be set back at least.
our plumbing.
Huh.
He installed a water heater and
So,
I just
That's
remember
nice.
where we were at.
that's nice.
decided to replace.
Maybe if he just plugs it, takes it out and plugs it back in again, maybe it works.
I don't see a problem.
Yeah.
Do it, but every
No, me neither. Mine are always paid immediately.
One of them
Good.
that gets
Need more of that.
vegetate, Charlotte. They had trees that went down, so we told them they had to replace.
Maybe, Deb, maybe you gotta retire.
Step up here.
That's that wireless stuff.
Got batteries in there?
Ask Fred. He usually brings the treats.
no, the department heads usually use trees,
Department heads.
but that's only
Yeah, they don't want all the other people snapping them up.
they baked 11,000.
Yeah.
California.
Click. Like.
Yeah, I bought a bunch.
Did you buy? But I bought a bunch too. Two, I won one. I said, if I win two, pick something. I said, take the nicest one and then give the other, draw somebody for the other one. So I must have only won one.
Maintenance.
You're not going?
Well, I'd like to.
Someone that fixes them.
Much for the PowerPoint.
Cost more money to register, but I do want to go.
And they'll come in here tomorrow and it'll work just perfectly.
That one's lit up anyway.
What's wrong with it?
We'll call this meeting of the Washera County Board of Supervisors order, and we'll start out with roll call.
Mrs. Krantz.
Here.
Mr. Tim.
Here.
Mr. Kowski.
Here.
Mr. Weddy.
Here.
Mr. Downey.
Here.
Mr. Eckstein.
Here.
Mrs. Kalata. Here. Mr. Weiss.
Aye.
Mr. Gillera.
Here.
Mr. Crawford. Mr. Kirschner.
Here.
I will stand for silent prayer and then the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, we're going to introduce Jerry Smart. Jerry Smart, the Marquette County and Washera County Surveyor at the present time. Jerry?
Good evening.
Oh.
Very happy to be here. Been having office hours here for the last several weeks, about 3 weeks now, I guess. I have to use it too? As I said, by appointment as well. So far, everybody's been very, very friendly here and made me feel very welcome and helping me figure out just exactly where everything is and how everything works. So if anybody has any questions, I'd be more than happy to answer.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Jerry's a very seasoned surveyor. He's been with Marquette for how long now?
I've been with Marquette County for 20 years. I've been surveying and licensed since 1978. I've done a little work, fair amount of engineering work with construction, sanitary sewers, roads, those sorts of things, some hydrographic surveying for harbors and coastlines, and the last number of years, probably 25 years, has been really dedicated for boundary surveying and primarily remonumentation. So I was also the mayor in Montello for 20 years, so I've kind of see both sides of things because I'm pretty used to doing with whatever we have. So again, I'm very happy to be here, and thank you all, and Merry Christmas.
Same to you.
Okay, at this time, we're going to have some public comments. We have two people signed up. The first one is Mark Schumacher.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too. First of all, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. The County Board Supervisors, elected officials, department heads, county employees, and the general public. This is always a joyous time of the year, even though we don't have any snow. Secondly, I want to wish the county board supervisors that are not going to be running again the best of luck. I want to thank Supervisor Downey and Gellerup and Chairman Weiss for their many years of service. And I'm here to tell you that there is life after county, and if you need help adjusting, give me a call. I'll talk you through it, okay? Third and most important, the real reason I came tonight is I'm asking for your support on a agenda item on your program tonight on the water quality improvement cost sharing program. It's a very important program. Even though the money is small, water quality is obviously a very important thing, particularly to Waushara County. For our surface waters, for our drinking water, for our recreational industry, and for our agricultural enterprises, water quality is a very, very important thing. And you have a chance tonight to support that furtherance of our water quality. Even though, like I say, the monies are small, that seed money can go a long ways. If the cost sharing is properly administered, they can single out properties that serve as show places and sets examples for other property owners and gives them the incentive to do similar practices on their properties. A good example that we have here in Waushara County is the shoreland restoration projects, where a few people got cost sharing, the neighbors saw what could be done, and then the momentum began. So a little money can go a long ways. And so I'm asking for your support of that program tonight. And that's about it. Again, happy holiday season to everybody, and I appreciate the opportunity to say a few words.
Thanks, Mark. Now we got William Van Dagen.
Bill Van Dongen, a lot of you know me already. I live on the White River flowage since 2001 when we got in here after I retired. And I'm an officer in the White River Flowage Lake Management District and in the Watershed Council, Waushara County Watershed Lakes Council. I mention that because I want you to know that I've had experience with the water quality problems all the way from failed septic systems on up to invasive weed structures that cost the district quite a bit of money. Now, as echo everything that Mark said, so I'll just add, when you look at the projects out there and you look at the cost-sharing opportunities, for mid to high cost sharing, there's quite a few opportunities to get funding from the DNR, from other places like that. Cost-sharing funding, of course, not full funding. Those projects that are really lacking that opportunity are the low-cost projects, the lower-cost projects. And we have a lot of those that we need to deal with in Waushara County, all the way from failed septic systems to water, wetlands, small wetlands, to small invasive species activities, such as an acre or less of invasive species on a pond. Anything that can be done to help people get over that initial cost structure that is there, a small amount will lead them to doing those projects and be very, very useful to the area. Again, from experience with people that have done these things, I can tell you that it really helps. Mark mentioned the restoration and shoreland preservation. A lot of those projects couldn't have been done without the help of the small project sharing activity that you could have here. So as Mark did, I encourage you to take a good look at that and set up the program with, of course, appropriate safeguards, which will be done through zoning, and help the people out with their projects. Thanks.
Thank you. At this time, we need a motion to approve the agenda.
I so move.
Dennis Sweaty.
I'll second.
Donna Colada. Any discussion on the agenda? Hearing none, all in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's been approved. We've got next approval of minutes of our November 8th meeting, and that was a dual meeting because our county budget was also included in that. Need a motion on it?
I'll move to approve.
Donna Colada.
I would move to second.
Second by Fred Gallerup. Any discussion on it? Yes, Larry.
I'd like to make a correction at the bottom of page 2. Last paragraph, second sentence. Supervisors can be paid for only 2 meetings per day or 1 county board meeting per day instead of and. Change or to and.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's been approved. There's no old business, new business. We've got some reports. It'll be the bonding project update.
Good evening. If I smell, I'm sorry. I tried this new spin class tonight. The bonding projects are moving right along. The courthouse here in the security, we're doing the fire alarm final testing. Right now it's running on backup, battery backup, and it has to run for 24 hours to make sure that everything is working. And so tomorrow morning we're going to be actually setting off the alarms to make sure everything is working, and then that will be fully functional. Hopefully there will be no problems. All the fobs have been distributed, and the training has been done on how to program the doors for meetings, and so right after the holidays we're going to be going live with that system. The bid documents are being prepared on the work release remodel. When Public Works had originally started talking about the work release remodel, we also talked about prior to that there had been a request to do some remodeling in the law library to make a victim witness room that would be segregated from the rest of the public to kind of meet with some of our statutory requirements, and have a smaller meeting room because the law library isn't really being utilized. Once we started working on the bids for the work release remodel, it came to our attention that the Human Services Department has a rolling file system that they will not be moving over to the downstairs because of their new system won't need it. And in my office, in the DA's office right now, our storage room doesn't hold all of our files, so there are files in every office in there. And so that system will fit into part of the area that we were going to remodel for the law library We just have to have somebody bring it over and move it and secure it. So we're going to put some of those costs in with the work release remodel, trying to save some costs for the county to do everything all at once. The DA and the clerk of courts are also putting aside money that comes from a surcharge for restitution that we're collecting that will help offset some of those costs. So that's all being worked on together at the moment. The tower project is ongoing. Hopefully, we're on the verge of getting everything straightened out. Since the last county board meeting, an issue came up where there is an antenna behind the sheriff's department that relays messages and signals from the dispatch center out to the tower, the new Wautoma Tower, which is our central tower for the whole project system. And when they came back to look at it, to work on putting the new equipment on it, it was determined that that tower was inadequate to hold all of the new equipment and to have the signal reach to where it needed to be in Wautoma to make this whole system work. So we are putting up a new tower behind the sheriff's department. That tower cost is going to be covered by Motorola as part of our original contract. So it's not going to be any extra money for the county or any extra on the bond, but that is something that we were not expecting. In addition, since the time that we did the frequency study with the state and the county to make sure that our frequencies would all mesh together on the new tower in Wautoma, there's been another channel added for the county and 3 more channels, I think, added for the state, and now we have an interference problem. So Dave and I will be meeting with Motorola and the state on Thursday to try to figure out what we can do to rectify the situation. And it looks like maybe the state is going to have a couple of their frequencies on the DNR tower that's already in existence that they're planning on keeping and having some fire channels on anyways. So hopefully we'll be able to get all of that worked out. So things have been a little rocky, but we keep plugging along and hopefully it will get better after the new year. Our telephone system has been converted over. We're still have one issue with the sheriff's department, but otherwise everybody is on the new phone system. And I did talk to George, and they are working on setting up the schedule for the training for the emergency dispatch, and it looks like that's going to start taking place in February. So it looks like everything is on track.
Thank you, Ruth. Now it's time for presentations, and now we're going to have tourism in Waushara County with Patrick Nearing, UW Extension, Judy Downey, Waushara Area Chamber of Commerce, and Linda Freudenthal, Century 21.
Linda wasn't able to make it tonight, so it's just going to be Judy and myself. And we had great pictures of Wisconsin tourism attractions, but we're not going to be able to see them.
Could we be put on the agenda for that for maybe January and just give them some PowerPoints right now, just quickly, or what do you feel? Because it was good. David Spiegelberg from the Department of Tourism has been working with us, and we're so excited, as he is, to work with the 3 counties, and between he and the UW fellows, they put together a beautiful PowerPoint, and I hate to have you miss it. So if we just put out a couple of bullet points right now, and maybe we get on January's agenda, would that be possible? Would that be agreeable? What do you think? And then maybe, what do you think? Because I think if I just throw out a few things, and then, because I'd like you to see this PowerPoint. I think it is good. I have seen it, and I do like it. So it's a good thing, and I think it'll make, rather than us go through all the details. But I did want to point out real quickly, if I can, Tri-County is really a great opportunity between Marquette, Green Lake, and Waushara. We have now 3 trade shows we're going to be going to this next 2012. One of them will be in January, and that'll be the WBAY one. So that's going to encourage our tourists to get over here. Plus those 3, plus the one that Scott does in Milwaukee, gives us 4 opportunities to get people here. And you do know that tourism will increase the 0.5% sales tax, don't you? You know that's going to go up, and that's going to look good. So we want to get out that word every way we can. The other thing is if you have an opportunity to look at the different websites that are out there right now, and I'm real proud of the Chamber one. They just were able to get mapping on theirs, and I think that is very, very good and helps our tourists a lot to see our lakes, the depth, the fishing, everything to do with that. We have the Tri-County website, and we have the room tax website. So with all of that out there, I think it's getting people more aware. Then one of the other things I wanted to bring up was the room tax. That is helping all the ordinances, or all the places that develop that ordinance, to have more monies in their budget. So I think with some of those things, and the Discover Wisconsin's going to be doing the Ice Age Trail in areas around Waushara County. And so those are all things that I think we're going to encourage tourism, and I think you can get real excited about it, and I think it's something you have to put on your minds, that tourism is a good business and a big business, and it's going to help our economy. Patrick, I took most of the time. You go ahead, and I'll be quiet.
Well, and a couple of the highlights that we were going to show you from the Department of Tourism and information, and also from what we've added, is that if we didn't have as much tourism in Wisconsin that we have now, property taxes would go up by at least $1,000 per household. So that's part of the big reason why the tourism is important. Last year, it was the Department of Tourism estimated that the expenditures in the county were $63 million as far as tourists coming to the county and the money that they spent here. And just looking at the three travel shows that Judy had just mentioned, one being in Madison and two of them in Madison, one of them in Green Bay. If only 1% of the people who attend that were to come to Waushara County, that would be $55,000 into our local economy that we wouldn't have had otherwise. So that's part of why we're going to these travel shows, to bring and encourage people to come here. And the other thing is that the state of Colorado, for a short time, because they learned quickly that it was a bad idea, had decided that they weren't going to put any money into tourism. And then the 7-year hiatus that they had, that caused a 30% drop in their in the travel expenditures that were made in the state of Colorado. The loss of the state revenue was about $2 billion annually, and they kind of lost their standing as far as a destination for a lot of people, because they didn't think about Colorado as a destination. So that's part of what the marketing aspect of tourism is. Even though people may know where Waushara County is, if they don't hear about it again, they might forget that we're here and then keep going on farther up north to Tomahawk or something. So I guess we'll leave it at that. And
any questions? Or
come back next month.
That's okay.
Any questions? Otherwise, next month you can show your film.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. This time, we've got discussion and possible action items. The first is to accept or deny notice of claim of Ron Fink. Ruth?
Mr. Fink was riding his motorcycle back last October, and the highway department was painting the center line on Highway 152. And when he got to the intersection of 152 County W and County G, he laid his bike down, and now he is suing us for $75,000, I think is what it was. Yeah, $75,000 for injuries, pain, and suffering, past and present and future. Basically, what had happened is that one of the guns on the highway paint truck misfired, and it deployed some beads. And when the highway truck noticed it, they were in the process of backing up to go clean it up. And then Mr. Fink and his friends came on their motorcycles, so they stopped, and it all happened at once, and they weren't able to do it. Mr. Fink lost control. At the time, we called law enforcement. No one wanted us to call law enforcement. Law enforcement came. All of Mr. Fink's friends left. Mr. Fink was there, insisted that he was fine, that he didn't need medical attention, and then, of course, a couple of months later, he had all of these injuries, and it was our fault. So the insurance company has investigated it, and they are recommending that you do a formal denial, and then, of course, that would limit the time that Mr. Fink would have to file an actual lawsuit to 6 months. If you have any questions about the summary or his claim, I certainly can answer them.
Questions? Otherwise, we need a motion to deny.
I'll make a motion, we deny the claim.
I'll second the motion.
Second by Dennis. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of that, say aye.
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 Opposed? That's been approved for denial. Now, approve Waushara County personal policy with the highway addendum. This is something we had to do, and Debbie, if you want to mention a few things.
Okay, thank you. There will be other addendums that are going to come. Highway, Tom and I were able to get this one finished in time to come before you, but there probably will be a human services addendum, and I think management, there might be some addendums that we will be bringing to you in the future. So the budget repair bill is ending. Because of that budget repair bill, the language in some of our contracts will disappear. So any contracts that don't deal with public safety employees, the majority of the language that has been in those contracts for many years, that language is gone. And so we have to have personnel policies that instead of just covering half of our employees are going to cover all of our employees. And so there's, you know, you're fitting 37.5-hour employees with 40-hour employees, and you're trying to come up with some umbrellas. And so we had personnel policies since the late 70s, and you know, they've been tinkered with and redone so many times it was just decided that it was probably easier just to start over. And so that is the document that's before you tonight. We had in stages, department heads saw it, the personnel committee saw it on many occasions. We did have a focus group of a few employees that looked at it and, you know, bounced ideas off of. It's been difficult for everyone because it is a change. It is a change in how Waushara County does business. This is following more of a business model. It's following more that it's a pay-as-you-go type of system as opposed to having more and more accruals that aren't funded. We're trying to modernize basically our system of how we do our business. So does anybody have any questions about it at all? I know it's a big change. It's a big document, and there's lots of changes. So the grievance procedure was brought to you prior to this, so you've approved the grievance procedure before, and that's like 7 or 8 pages of this thing. So so that's, you know, that one you've looked at in the past. So any questions about it? So basically the game plan is if you approve this tonight, we will start having meetings with employees right away. And this would take place the first of the year, or this would come into effect the first of the year.
Okay, we need a motion.
Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to approve the Waushara County personnel policy with the highway addendum.
Larry?
I just had a question.
Go ahead.
It mentions the county custodian of records as some office, but I don't know who that is.
That is my office. We are the official keeper of the personnel records. So departments could have their they could have their working files, but the official records are kept in my office, and it's been that way all along.
It's always been that way.
So it's just another title.
Yes.
Okay, Fred, you.
I was going to second that motion.
Okay, we got a
Dennis
motion by
made.
Dennis, seconded. Our question, I believe, has been answered. Any more questions? Any more discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's been approved. Now that we have also a tentative agreement between the Waushara County and Waushara County Deputy Sheriff's Association, we settled that contract. The Sheriff's Department deputies approved it, so we brought it to the county board for approval.
This particular group is a group that is considered public safety, and so they are able to bargain all of the language in their contract. So their contract basically is intact with the proposed changes that you see before you tonight. It's a one-year contract.
Motion to approve it.
I'll make a motion to approve the Sheriff's Department.
Prince, do we have a second to the motion? Second by Everett Eckstein. Any discussion on it?
Just in, under number 2, the second, the 1,200 hours per year shall be entitled,
Okay.
gotta be in there.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other discussion on it? Hearing none, all in favor of the contract say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's been approved. Now, we also have updated our courthouse after-hours policy, and that's in there also tonight. Get a motion on that.
I'll make the motion to approve it.
I'll second.
Donna Clada, second by Dennis Weddy. Any discussion on it? This has been went over several times with the security committee, with the other people, ag committees and the extension committee, I mean, downstairs, and so we think it's worked out pretty well. Any more discussion on it? Hearing none, all in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's been approved. County Board per diem rules.
Well, maybe between Ruth and I, we can explain this a little bit. At the last county board meeting, you had set the per diem, but it was discussed that perhaps the executive committee could define some of the rules because there were some questions at the last meeting. And so now I'm going to hand it over to my sidekick, Ruth, because she actually did some investigation and research on this.
At the last meeting, we talked about how per diem should be paid. There was a question about only having 2 per diems per day on non-county board days, only having the county board per diem on county board days and not getting paid if you had other meetings. There was discussion about whether or not there should be a second per diem if the meeting lasted all day long. And so I did some research, and in Chapter 59, based upon the size of our county, they limit the number of per diems or the days that you can have meetings on set days unless that is changed by the county board with by a 2/3 vote. And so we are already over the limit that the statute allows, because for a county this size, they allow 20 days worth of per diem and not more than 10 for one committee. So we're already over that, but you did increase that previously, so there's not a problem with that. One of the other things is that there's a very old Attorney General's opinion, and of course Attorney General's opinions are just that. They're opinions. They're not binding on any court. They're not binding on you. They just give you an idea of someone else's legal analysis besides mine. That Attorney General opinion states that they don't believe that you should be getting multiple per diems per day, because the word per diem actually means per day. So it should be set at an amount for your whole day, not based upon meetings. It's not a per meeting thing, it's a per day thing. One of the other options that the county board can do is that you can enact an ordinance that you would be paid a salary rather than a per diem. So you would take a look at how many committee meetings you are attending over the course of a year, and kind of average it out, figure out how much money you think that that's worth, and then the county, each county board supervisor would be paid a salary, and that would be how much you got for the entire year, no matter how many meetings you went to. So all of this was presented to the executive committee, and the executive committee had decided at their meeting that they thought that the way that things were going with up to 2 per diems per day, other than county board days, was fine, and only 1 per diem on county board days, and that they would, limit that you should not have other meetings on county board days. I don't think they were interested in recommending an increase for a per diem if the meeting went longer than a certain number of hours. But that's kind of the research that I found, and kind of the recommendation that the executive committee had was to leave things the same. And of course, it's up to you. So now it's kind of up to you guys to decide what you want to do.
Okay, we need a motion.
Motion to approve the travel expense reimbursement guidelines.
Second the motion.
Dennis. Now, discussion.
Skipped on. This is not travel. You're one before that.
On per diems,
I'm fast.
right now your current policy is that you can have 2 per diems per day for meetings other than county board days, and county board days you could only have 1 per diem per day. So the question is, do you want to leave it the same as that? Do you want to change it?
Yes.
My motion will be to leave it the same.
There you go. Okay.
My second is fine.
And I probably will make a motion to do the travel. Just to be sure.
Okay.
I think one of the things that we discussed, and I know, if you have a meeting that lasts, 3 or 4 hours, but then your next meeting might only last an hour, so it evens itself out. So that's why that's the reason we decided that we would leave it the same.
What is our meeting?
Veterans.
Okay.
There are some hourly, meetings that
It
don't.
happens, sure.
Or even 2 hours, if it.
Any more discussion? Yes, Larry.
What if an outside meeting that you have to attend occurs on the county board date, such as lake management district meetings or library board meetings or something like that?
You always considered one of them per day, and that's been ever since I've been on the board over 20 years. You get the 1 per diem for a county board day regardless. That's the way it always has been.
I mean, you can say that there shouldn't be any other county meetings on that day, but you can't really control these other entities.
Bill.
Chairman, I can eat breakfast for $5 and lunch for 10, but that $15 hardly leaves room for a martini.
Martini is not included in there.
That's good.
Okay, any other discussion? County board rules, leave them alone or what?
Leave it like it is, I would.
Yeah. Okay, we've got a motion and a second on it. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed to the motion? Okay, it's been approved. Now we get down to our approved travel reimbursement guidelines and set our 2012 mileage reimbursement at IRS allowable rate.
This document actually is part of the personnel policy, but I thought it was important that we talk about this specifically because it does impact you as county board supervisors. So the major change, and this we are identifying some IRS conditions that we were not aware of, that if you're being reimbursed for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, if it isn't an overnight situation, that reimbursement is actually supposed to be on the W-2 and taxable. And so the big change in this is that those reimbursements are only going to happen if it's an overnight situation. It isn't going, you can't just put in for breakfast, lunch, or dinner unless it's tied to an overnight situation. So that is a huge change, and I just want you to be totally aware of that. The other part of this is that we are putting right in here that the mileage will be based on the IRS allowable rate. We've never specified that before. That's what we've done every year, but we've never actually specified that in the policy before. So those are the major changes.
Larry?
What if the meal is included as part of the package?
Then it's not a reimbursed situation, so then it's all right.
Okay, we need a motion.
I would move the approval of that issue.
Okay, motion by Fred. We have a second. Second by Mr. Kirschner. Any other discussion on it? Hearing none, all in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's been approved. Now to adjust our current non-union pay scale by 1.5% in 2012. That's what the recommendation is. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Okay, motion by Donna Collada. Do we have a second? Second by Joe Piasky. Any discussion on it? This is non-union. Hearing none, all in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's been approved. Now we've got approval local elected official consortium agreement. And then there's another agreement, which is the Workforce Development Board and the local elected officials right after that. This is something that I've been on the Leo Committee for a good many years, and I've been on the Workforce Development Board. We never had really a good language yet there between them. So now between the counties, as you saw in there, we all got together. We had several meetings, and we put it together as a joint agreement and our regular agreement. If there's any discussion on it, otherwise it's going to be brought up to the full board in January at Workforce Development Board, and Deb's on that board now. I'm on the Leo Committee, a local elected official, and that's why it's brought to your attention tonight. Any discussion on that? Otherwise, we need a motion.
Make a motion that we approve whatever.
Agreements.
Do you want both of them? Do you want to do both of them right
Right,
away?
he announced both of them, so I think we have better approve both
agreements, okay.
together.
We got a motion by Mrs. Krantz. We got Larry Crawford seconded it. Any discussion on it? Hearing all in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's been approved. Now we got consideration of possible action on the following resolution and ordinances.
Resolution 41-12-11, resolution authorizing sufficient staff for the jail facility.
Okay, we did a motion. This is for our new jail staff. Now, due to the fact state prisoners are gone, we cut the staff down. People have been laid off, some retired. And this is the new staffing of that jail down to about as minimum as we can get. So, motion by Mr. Kirschner, second by Bill Downey. Any discussion?
This resolution, I'm looking here that it limits the number of employees for the jail. When it says authorizing sufficient staff for the jail facility, what if the county were to get some of the state prisoners back?
Well, so far the committee has not accepted the state prisoners back. The recommendation at the last law enforcement or public safety meeting was either they're going to leave them with us or take them away, and we had to cut staff down. We had several meetings on it. We cut the staff down stuff. Right now, if we brought prisoners back, we'd have to hire help. And that's not profitable. He showed us a chart. If you got over 20 prisoners, you maybe could start making money, but up to 20 prisoners, you don't even cover costs at times. When we had the 50, 60 prisoners there, we was doing okay, but a few prisoners, you don't cover costs.
It just seems to me that the word sufficient is quite ambiguous in this resolution.
It's meant to be. And this is a resolution that has been changed multiple times depending upon the situation. So if the situation was, it's required by the DOC rules that we have a resolution authorizing staff for the jail. So if the situation would change, we would be back here with a different resolution.
Okay.
The county board actually has to approve the staffing to satisfy the Department of Corrections.
You answered my question.
Yes, Larry.
How are the numbers different on here than they were the last time?
It's down 8, I believe.
Yes, this is the one that reduces it. The current one that you have approved has all of the positions in it, and at budget time, you reduce them by 8 positions. So this is reducing, that shows that reduction.
But what were the numbers the last time?
There was 8 additional correctional officers. So instead of 8, there were 16.
Everett.
For our information, how many had to be laid off and how many retired? Are you allowed to tell us?
There was, notice went out to 4 individuals that they were to be laid off, and 2 of them in the meantime have retired. So, and then there's still some transitional things going on, so. As of this point, only 2 have actually been laid off.
Thanks.
Fred.
And do I understand that these numbers are our decision and not mandated by the state or anybody else?
The state has a minimum requirement.
Oh, okay.
And
so
it's also based on the design of the facility. It was designed for so many people.
Sure. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions on it? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's been approved.
Resolution 42-12-11, resolution authorizing cancellation of outstanding checks.
I move the resolution authorizing cancellation of outstanding checks be approved.
Okay, do we have a second to the motion? Mrs. Prince. Any discussion on it? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's been approved.
Resolution 43-12-11, relating to the Waushara County Plan of Library Service 2012.
I would move approval of the resolution.
Okay, we got a motion by Dennis Weddy, with a second by Everett Eckstein. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all in favor of that say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's been approved.
Resolution 44-12-11, resolution to financially support a water quality improvement cost share program for a 3-year trial period with funds from the Waushara County General Fund.
Motion by Everett Eckstein, second by Larry Crawford. Any discussion? This is a roll call vote.
Do you have to tell them about the budget problem? I think just in the spirit of full disclosure, there is an issue with the 2012 budget. There was a mistake made in the land conservation budget, and they have they put revenue in for $45,000, and it was intended as a pass-through, but they didn't put the $45,000 expense in, so that budget is off. And so I don't want that to change how you're going to vote on this particular issue. I'm just telling you this is full disclosure, because we will have to come back at some point and correct that issue.
Fred.
I would only like to state that I think this is a very good plan, and I commend the 2 speakers that came in to support this effort and the effort of zoning to get this thing underway.
Any other discussion before we call the vote? You can call.
All right, Mr. Weiss.
Yes.
Mr. Gellerup.
Yes.
Mr. Crawford.
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner.
Yes.
Mrs. Prince. Yes. Mr. Tim.
Yes.
Mr. Piaski.
Yes.
Mr. Weddy.
Yes.
Mr. Downey. Mr. Eckstein.
Yes.
Mrs. Plata.
Yes.
Okay, it passed.
All right, resolution 45-12-11, resolution authorizing the carryover and expenditure of unanticipated revenues for parks capital improvements.
Motion by Joe Piaski, second by Donna Colada. Any discussion? Yes, Fred?
I guess I would only like to know what was the use of that wood that was harvested and sold for $25,000 to $40,000. What became of it? Timber or?
Scott's back there.
It's, as far as I can tell, it's still being harvested. There's a lot to go. Basically, I live out there, so I can see it every day. Basically, they're cleaning up storm damage and diseased trees and so on.
And so it's going to the pulp market?
Well, I think some is going to pulp. I think some is going to logs. I think it depends on.
Okay, quality.
Yes.
Okay,
I think Scott is out. Scott, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, I can answer that. A lot of it is going to the pulp market. Even a lot of the larger oak is going to the pulp market because it's broken and twisted, et cetera. There's a fair amount of saw logs that have been taken out, tops broken out, and many parts of the tree is still sound. Larger aspen typically go to the pulp market where we make pallets and a variety of things like that.
Thank you.
Any other discussion? Yes, Larry?
How was it sold? Was it sold by bid or contract? Or?
We're working with a logger that we worked with in the past that has done wholesale cleanups for us, and the committee agreed to work with him on the salvage. He's given us prices, obviously, competitive prices in that market.
Was it not by bid or contract?
We had a contract, but we did not let it for bid because of the timing involved. Kind of the definition of unanticipated revenues because of the storm on September 2nd.
The same contractor's been working in there prior, taking out oak wilt for us.
We've been doing cleanup cuts for years based on an earlier bid system.
I could see where some other loggers might feel slighted.
I believe after the storm, all the loggers have all the business they can handle. They're really busy because we've been waiting for one, so.
Any more discussion? Hearing none, we're going to call for the vote.
All right, Mr. Gellerup.
Yes.
Mr. Crawford.
Yes.
Mr. Kirschner.
Yes.
Mrs. Prince.
Yes.
Mr. Tim.
Yes.
Mr. Piaski.
Yes.
Mr. Weddy.
Yes.
Mr. Downey.
Yes.
Mr. Eckstein.
Yes.
Mrs. Pilata.
Yes.
Mr. Weiss.
Yes.
Ordinance number 538, an ordinance to approve and regulate all-terrain vehicle ATV travel on County Road I in the town of Richford, Waushara County, Wisconsin, and prescribing penalties.
Okay, this is one we've been working on. We need a motion and a second, and then we'll have some more discussion. Motion by Mr. Kirschner and second by Larry Crawford. Now, this is only on a trial basis. Any other questions on it?
The town of Richford did approve their ordinance, and so did the town of Dakota.
And if I understand this, May 1st, 2013, we'll take a look at this and that, or before, if we wanted to. So if there's a problem or something out there, we can look at it before.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Aye.
Three noes is Larry Tim, Donna Colada, Fred Geller.
Okay. Resolution number 539, ordinance amending Waushara County zoning maps pursuant to the authority granted in Chapter 58 Waushara County Code. Zone change, Karen Bauer, Town of Watoma.
Motion by Kirschner, second by Fred Gellerup. Any discussion on it? Hearing none, all in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's been approved. Now we've got some appointments. The Board of Health, Donna Goldsmith, Dr. Verona Mayhafer, and Beth Ozeka.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved and second by Everett Eckstein. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's been approved. Washera County Economic Development Corporation, Judy Downey and Fred Erickson.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve.
Second by Larry Tim. Any discussion?
Are we sure we want that first one?
Okay, all in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's been approved. Any suggestions for future items for our January meeting?
I would only like to commend Deb Berenger for the serious work she did on that business that we just approved. And she led the Personnel Committee through a number of meetings and presented all the information necessary for that committee to make a wise choice. And I think she did a magnificent job.
I agree with you. Okay.
I was wondering if we could have a presentation from the Tourism Committee next month then.
Going to have. Okay.
Move to adjourn.
Move to adjourn by Everett. We have a second. Second by Larry Tim.
Merry Christmas.
Is our next
All in
meeting
favor, say aye.
day or
Aye.
evening?
Nights.
Nights.
Thank you and Merry Christmas.
Well, except April.
I did not think it was gonna go that fast.
Joe.
Ruth, you hardly even had to, like,
I didn't get one.
cool down, did ya?
Here.
Yeah, you were
I don't want it.
we're not getting calendars from
One must have known you don't live in our area.
Love her outfit.
One must have known you're not
They
in our
think
area.
because of all that nonsense.
From Ballweg.
Oh.